Hey, happy Friday, everybody. Hope you guys had a good week. Listen, yesterday's project, it was a 2-day project. I'm counting as a quiz grade. So if you notice you got a 100, that is a good thing. If you didn't get me your project in, remember I need to see some pictures of you measuring 3 different shapes, either in your backyard, front yard, or house. I need to see the work on how you found the perimeter in the area. And some of you even sent me videos. And I got to say, I watched every one of them. I loved them. So listen, I hope you guys have a good weekend. We're going to talk about, in review, 3 words: perimeter, area, and a new word today, volume. Okay. Now, you are probably pros at the formula of volume. But before we get into volume, I want to show you the difference between perimeter, area, and volume. So, perimeter. We've talked about perimeter virtually. I really haven't seen you guys to be able to actually show you things, but perimeter is just the distance along the edge. So to find the perimeter, you're basically just adding up all of the sides and you're getting a sum. That is a one dimension, and you would have a basic label to go with your answer, whether it be inches or feet and so on. If you were finding the area, well, then you're looking at a length and a width, or a base and a height. Now you're talking a 2-dimensional figure, and that's why your label will be squared, because essentially what you're doing is you're just counting up how many squares are on the surface of this object. And we don't normally draw the squares. We just take whatever the length is, we take whatever the width is, and we multiply them together. Just so you're in quick review, a lot of you made this mistake on your project. Let's say you had a 5 as the length of the triangle here. You had a 6, you had a 6. To find the area, you would not do 5 times 6 and then cut that in half. 6 is not the height. The height is here. So the height would be a different number. You'd have to measure it. So if you haven't done your project yet, you're kind of lucky because you can go back and look at those triangles where a lot of you just did 5 times 6. So this would be 5 times 7, it's 35, and then you would cut it in half because a triangle is half of a rectangle. All right, well, that leads us to volume, okay? And you're used to this formula. Volume equals length times width times height. Matter of fact, Parkinson might have taught you this in science. So the area is the surface. What is volume? So a volume, basically, we're dealing with a 3-dimensional shape. We have a width, we have a length, and we have a height. 3-dimensional shape means that you have this height component that's part of your shape, so it takes up space. What I usually think of when I teach this lesson is I bring gift wrap and I bring a box and I wrap a box for every one of my classes. And then I actually give that box as a present to one of my students each period who does a great job participating. And they're all excited. And then they open it up and there's nothing inside. And, that's just my humor. But really what volume is, it's the amount of space inside the figure. So if you think about it, if you're going to be buying a present, you need to wrap it. Well, you need a box that will fit that present. So let's talk about how to find the volume. So the easiest way I find, and a lot of people say, oh, you just multiply the 3 numbers together. Well, yes and no. One of the things I need you to know is I need you to tell me which is the length, the width, and the height. And because it's multiplication and multiplication is commutative, I don't care what order you put them in, but you've got to tell me which number is which. So I usually say the length is that long side. And so I'm going to put 7 meters for my length. And you will set this type of chart up every single problem you do. I'm going to go width, is 4. So I'm going to put 4 meters in my chart. And I'll go 5 is the height. So I'll go 5. Now what you do at this point, like I said, is you write the formula. And you take the numbers that you've designated for the length, the width, and the height. And if you grab a calculator or you're good with math, you multiply those 3 numbers. 4 times 5 is 20, times 7 is 140. Now watch this. Meters, it's not squared. Because this takes up space, because it is volume, it's got 3 numbers we're dealing with. Now we're talking cubes. 140 meter cubes. And really, if we wanted to, it's really the same thing as making up all of these cubes inside and counting them. And it could take a long time, and that's why we don't normally do that. All we do is we take the 3 numbers and we multiply them. All right, so let me cloud that. There's our volume, and let's try another one. All right, let's get some decimals incorporated in here. I want you to set up your formula. A couple of you, I keep sending back your work because you're not doing any of the work. You're just throwing an answer at me. And you know, if you were sitting in front of me in class, I would not accept that. So I need the formula, volume equals length times width times height. And then I need to know what numbers you're going to put in for each. So I'm going to come over here, length, I'm going to go 4 5/10. For the width, I'm going to go 7 5/10. And again, it doesn't matter. You could even go and put 6 25/100. It doesn't matter because, again, multiplication is commutative and the order is not important. Okay? So your job now is to substitute these values into your formula. Go for it. Volume equals, let's see, my length was 4.5. My width is 7.5. And my height is 6 25/100. Grab your calculators. I actually don't have my calculator handy right now. So instead of me taking up, 5 minutes and multiplying these 3 decimals together, you would multiply all 3 of these together, but your label would be inches cubed. Matter of fact, if you could, multiply those 3 for me and throw that right into your workbook. Okay? So what I'd like you guys to do is I'd like you to pause this video. And one of the things I'd like you to try is I'd like you to head to the next page, and I'd like you to try number 3 together. Before you get started, write your formula and write L equals, W equals, H equals. Now tomorrow when you send me your work, I'm going to start sending work back to you guys when you don't show me your work, which means, hey, you did not watch this video. You're taking the shortcut. And I got to tell you, the math is really not that hard. You can't be taking these shortcuts. All right, pause the video now and try this problem. Go. How did you do? Hopefully you had the same answer as me. A lot of my students every single year love volume because basically you're setting up the formula, you're designating the labels for which of the dimensions you plug in your calculator. Really, that's it. You did not have to do what I did. I just don't have a calculator. All right, so here's what I'd like you guys to do, and your answers will be sent to you on Monday. I'd like you to give me try number 2. Try number 4. Try number 5. And try number 6. Now on the back, 5 and 6, it's a little backwards. It gives you the volume, but it doesn't give you one of the sides. And I would like to show you how to do this, but I'm curious if you can figure it out. Remember, length times width times height equals the volume. Instead of me teaching this to you, I'm curious to see if you can do it on your own. All right, real quick, some shout outs before you guys leave me for the weekend. Listen, some of those videos you guys sent me were pretty awesome. Dominic L from 8th period did a really nice job. I was impressed. Let's see. I have a list of people who sent me some really good stuff that I enjoyed. What I think I'm going to do is just make a list and just throw out a bunch of names. But James and Holly were hysterical, and their mom was really funny making their video. And so I just appreciate you guys. So if you got me those projects, thumbs up to you guys. Have a great weekend, and I will send you your answers on Monday. Get me your work on Google Classroom today. Adios.